This is Charmaine from Fantastic Crafts. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Today, the video will be a tutorial, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about autism. Since this is April is Autism Awareness Month, I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. Now, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know that I have family and friends who have children that do have autism, and I always try to learn more about autism itself just so I can be more helpful towards them. So a few things that I wanted to talk about autism, just so we can all be a little bit more aware of it, is first being autism is a spectrum disorder. So that means that there are many forms of it. There are more severe autism, and then there is moderate autism, and there's very mild form of autism. There are different names for them. Now, I don't know exactly every name, but I know that it is a spectrum disorder. Now, I know a lot of people say no Asperger's syndrome, which is a high-functioning form of autism. There is no cure for autism. There are lots of treatment options, things that can help, and it's always nice to know those helpful tips, just in case you do have a friend or family member or one of your child. You want to be able to help them, so you want to learn some of the treatments, or you may just go out one day and see someone who's has signs of autism. Now, you don't go ahead and tell them, oh, you have autism or anything like that, but you know that they're struggling with something, and you would know how to help them. That's kind of why I like learning more about it, just so I can help someone if that time comes, or if it ever needs be. Now, family dealing with autism, with families that have either autistic children or one of the spouse or anything. If you have a family member or a friend that has autism, I suggest you go and offer help and support, and want to learn about what is it that they struggle with, or what you can do to help them, because the everyday just milestones that we don't even think about may be difficult. It may or may not, but for some people it is. So it is always nice to just offer that help and support. Now, there are so many myths about autism. Now, I don't know all of them, but I know there are so many, like strength and abilities, that they somehow lack strength or ability, which is completely false. There are many strengths that they have, many, and some, you find out as they grow up. Some that we don't see or notice until someone comes around and understands them, and that's the big thing. It's just that we do not understand how their brain is working. It's not that their abilities are any less than anyone else's, but it's just we do not understand it just yet. And that is the only difference between someone with autism and someone without autism. Now, these were very few little information that I just collected from online about autism. Now, I suggest, and I try my best to go and research, just because I really do want to know more about it. And if I do see someone or know someone, I know how to act around them, so I don't make it harder for them with my actions. So I really like to know some things that I can do to make the situation better or more relaxing for them. So to move on with the tutorial for today, it's a autism awareness greeting card that I created. I wanted to really talk a little bit about it and also be able to make a card out of it. So I created this card using May's Love You to Pieces stamp set. And what I did was I cut out a post-it note and I cut out a heart just like you would in middle school or elementary. And I put that post-it note onto my card layering panel, and then I stamped these little puzzle pieces onto the heart. And I did it in the rainbow colors because that is traditionally, or that those are the colors of the autism awareness. And then I went around with hearts and also stamped hearts. And then to finish the card off, I did put a sentiment that says, "Love completes the puzzle." I thought that would be a perfect sentiment for this particular card because love is what you need, love and patience, and it just completes it. And I just thought it was a perfect little sentiment for it. So once I was done with stamping everything and the sentiment, I moved on to inking the edges of this cardstock. I kind of inked the edges and kept a little halo around the heart just so your eyes can focus on that heart, and that is the main focus of this card. That and the love completes the puzzle. Now, when I figured out the sentiment, all I did was I just kind of saw, first of all, I read the sentiment and I'm like, I really, really like this. So at first I tried it on black cardstock. And what I wanted to do with the sentiment is make it like a rainbow sentiment. So, go from the red to all the way to the purple. And once I did it on the black cardstock, I realized that it didn't really show well with the oxide ink. So I moved on to just a regular white cardstock for my sentiment. So once I moved on to my white cardstock, all I did once again was followed the rainbow pattern, which is Roy G. Biv: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And I did the same thing. I just kind of stamped it in different ink pads using my oxide inks. You could use any color ink pad you have. And then I just simply stamped that onto my white cardstock. And you can see what a gorgeous rainbow effect that gives. I really, really loved it. Once I was done, I just make sure you close all your oxide ink lids because they are, the pigment in them does make it dry quicker, so you don't want to just leave them open for too long. So I close those up, and then I use my little Tim Holtz big shears, and I just cut the little sentiment out using that. I also decided to ink the edges like most of my projects. I love how the end result looks much more finished when you ink the edges of that. So I just used one of my Nuvo little blending sponges to ink the edges of the sentiment, and then I used some 3D foam squares to just put that onto my card panel. I then took an A2 size card base, which is an 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock that I folded in half, and that creates a side folding A2 size card base. And I always love to do a black cardstock base when I'm working with such bright colors because I always feel like it pops the card front, so it really just enhances it, pops it, and your eye just attracts it to the panel itself. So I did that, and then that just completes the card. I didn't do anything other than that, and I wanted to keep it simple but also make a statement, and I think it really did. So I hope that I said most of the facts about autism correctly, and if I haven't, or if there's something I should know, please feel free to comment below or let me know, email me if you want to. And remember, if you ever have a question and you know someone that has autism or someone who knows more information, always feel free to ask. I think that's the biggest thing. To be more aware of this, we need to ask questions, the right questions, and learn about one another. We are all different. No one is made the same. So we just have to sit down and sometimes just get to know each other by asking questions, and that's all it takes. Okay, everyone. Until next time. Bye.